There's a certain kind of mystery that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't sit behind velvet ropes or flash under showroom lights. It hides in plain sight, tucked just far enough away that even the most dedicated fans never quite reach it. You can tour every polished inch, watch every video, memorize every story, and still miss the one place that quietly holds the most intriguing secrets of all, because sometimes what isn't shown tells a far more powerful story than what is. For years, millions have stepped virtually into Jay Leno's legendary garage, a sprawling sanctuary of engineering brilliance and automotive history. It's a place where rare classics gleam under perfect lighting, where engines roar back to life with a storyteller's touch, and where every vehicle seems to carry a narrative worth hearing. From century-old steam cars to modern hypercars, the collection feels complete, almost limitless. But completeness is an illusion. Because behind the cameras, beyond the carefully curated tours, there exists another side of the garage, one that doesn't fit the narrative viewers expect. It isn't hidden in the dramatic sense. There are no secret codes or elaborate locks, just a simple unmarked door, easy to overlook, leading into a space that feels entirely different from the rest. No polish, no spotlight, no presentation. The air changes when you step inside, quieter, heavier, almost reflective. This isn't a showroom. It's something closer to an archive, a resting place for ideas that never quite found their way into the world. Unlike the vehicles featured on camera, the ones here don't compete for admiration. Many of them aren't finished, some barely function. Others were never meant to exist outside the experimental phases that created them. They're not here because they're perfect, they're here because they matter in a different way. Each one represents a risk, a gamble, a moment when someone tried to push beyond what was known and didn't quite make it. Over time, fragments of this hidden space have surfaced through offhand comments and subtle hints. A passing joke about cars that don't run, a brief mention of projects that are hard to explain. To most viewers, these lines feel like humor, but to those paying attention, they point to something deeper, a collection defined not by success, but by possibility. Within this lesser-seen section, the cars aren't trophies, they're questions. What if this design had worked? What if this technology had evolved just a little further? What if timing, funding, or fate had shifted ever so slightly? Prototypes sit quietly, their shapes hinting at futures that never arrived. Experimental builds carry the fingerprints of engineers who chased ideas others thought impossible. Some are elegant in their ambition, others are strange, even unsettling, as if they belong to a different timeline altogether. There are whispers of early electric concepts developed long before the world was ready to embrace them. Machines built with technology that was ahead of its time, only to be shelved when reality caught up too slowly. There are rumored test vehicles assembled from mismatched parts, created not for beauty, but for discovery. Some look incomplete because they are frozen mid-idea, abandoned when the path forward disappeared. And then there are the stories that can't be told easily, vehicles tied to agreements, to companies that never launched their visions, to projects that were quietly set aside for reasons that never reached the public. Not every innovation is meant for display. Some carry complexities, legal, technical, or personal, that make them better left out of the spotlight. In those cases, silence isn't secrecy, it's respect. That's what makes this hidden part of the garage so compelling. It isn't built around perfection, it's built around effort, around the understanding that progress isn't a straight line, and that every breakthrough is surrounded by countless attempts that didn't quite succeed. In a world that celebrates finished products, this room preserves the unfinished ones, the attempts that still hold value even without a final result. For someone like Jay Leno, that distinction matters. His approach has never been about collecting what's popular or expensive for the sake of it. It's about preserving stories, understanding the journey behind each machine, and recognizing the human ambition that drives innovation forward. And sometimes, the most meaningful stories are the ones that never reach the public eye. Some of these vehicles arrived quietly, without ceremony. Others came from individuals who believed their work deserved to be remembered, even if it never reached completion. In certain cases, these machines represent the final chapter of a dream, a project handed over not as a showpiece, but as something to be kept safe. That alone changes how they're treated. They aren't displayed for applause, they're preserved out of respect. There's also a deeply personal element woven into this space. Not every experiment works, not every idea becomes reality. Even the most passionate innovators face failure. But failure, in this context, isn't something to discard. It's something to learn from, something to acknowledge as part of a larger process. By keeping these machines, Jay isn't just saving metal and machinery, he's preserving the mindset that led to their creation. Occasionally, small glimpses of this hidden world have slipped into view. A shape under a cover that doesn't match anything known. A passing comment that sparks endless speculation. A brief, accidental reveal that leaves more questions than answers. These moments only deepen the intrigue, hinting at a collection that operates by entirely different rules than the one audiences are used to seeing. But perhaps the real significance of this space isn't in what's inside, it's in what it represents. It challenges the idea that only success deserves recognition. It suggests that unfinished work, abandoned projects, and failed experiments still hold meaning. That progress is built not just on victories, but on attempts that didn't go as planned. In a culture obsessed with perfection and presentation, that's a powerful statement. It shifts the focus from results to effort, from outcomes to intentions. It reminds us that behind every polished achievement lies a series of risks, missteps, and ideas that didn't quite make it, but still mattered. The hidden section of the garage isn't meant to impress in the traditional sense. It doesn't rely on shine or spectacle. Instead, it invites a quieter kind of appreciation, one rooted in curiosity and respect for the process of creation. It's not about what these machines became, it's about what they tried to be. And maybe that's why it remains largely unseen. Not because it lacks value, but because its value isn't easily captured on camera. It doesn't fit neatly into a narrative. It doesn't offer the instant satisfaction of a finished story. Instead, it asks you to think, to imagine, to consider possibilities that never fully materialized. In the end, that unmarked door represents more than just a hidden room. It marks the boundary between what we celebrate and what we overlook, between the stories we tell and the ones we quietly set aside. And behind it lies a reminder that sometimes the most important parts of history aren't the ones displayed for everyone to see, but the ones carefully preserved, waiting for the right moment to be understood.